Welcome back to Laugh to Keep from Crying. You're listening to CJNA After Dark. Always remember, I'm doing this to heal, never to hurt. Just to recap, last time we left off talking about the rest of my high school career, my graduation, and everything I had been through before that. But after graduation, I wasn't ready. So today, let's talk about it. You all know I was pregnant. I had already turned 18 a few months before graduation. Graduation day came and went, and I was still pregnant. No baby yet. Just to mention, we did have a baby shower. That was good because honestly, I didn't feel very supported through all of it. Yeah, I was a teen mom, but I still needed stuff for my baby. My mom threw me a really nice baby shower. And surprisingly, my daughter's father's mom threw one too. Now, his mom's baby shower didn't go so well. A lot of people didn't show up, and she was really disappointed. But between the two showers, we got what we needed. And just so you know, we didn't have a joint baby shower because of some family drama. But that's for another episode. Back to after my graduation. I had a little job, nothing fancy. My aunt helped me get it because she was working part-time at Rite Aid. I was a cashier. I worked after school, but not long enough to have paid benefits or anything. So my leave was unpaid. And it sucked because right after I turned 18, my aunt told me I had to start paying rent. And it felt like my birthday gift was a whole new load of adult responsibilities. But it was what it was. I needed somewhere to stay, and my aunt wasn't asking for much. She knew I was about to have a baby, but she expected me to bring her some money once I went back to work. After graduation, I felt like at least I accomplished something. But man, was it hot that summer. And I was just ready to have my baby. My mom convinced me that walking would help the baby come faster. So the day after graduation, I walked for miles in my neighborhood. Came home, walked up and down the steps. The next day, same thing. Nothing. I started thinking it was just a myth, like an old wives' tale people made up, that walking makes the baby come flying out. I remember being in bed that same night after I was walking that second day, just chilling, about to fall asleep. I jumped up because I felt something. Went to the bathroom, nothing. Went back to bed, and then boom, I felt this big gush. I thought maybe it was my bladder or maybe I still had to pee. But nope, that was my water breaking. I laid there for a minute, unsure what to do. I called for my aunt, but my door was shut and she was in the front room. I reached for my phone, but the water kept coming. I called her. She finally came running in my room. Said she would call my mom. She called my mom to come pick me up and take me to the hospital. Meanwhile, I was trying to make sure I had what I needed. And honestly, I didn't even know what that was. My mom and grandma had told me I needed to take a bag to the hospital, but never told me what to put in it. My OBGYN, the one I finally got prenatal care from, was cool, but I wasn't thrilled about the hospital they were connected to. I heard enough bad stories to have bad vibes, but it was what it was. That was the closest hospital. I was close to one of my daughter's father's sister, so I called her and told her what was happening. She sounded excited and said she'd get her brother and mom to the hospital. That same night, I actually called him, even though we weren't on the best terms, and told him to stick around. He liked running the streets, but I told him he should stay home because I had a feeling the baby might come. He didn't listen. He said he was going to his cousin's house, so his sister had to go and find him. Meanwhile, my mom was rushing over. She lived about 10 to 15 minutes away. When she got there, she was rushing me out the door. I couldn't believe how fast she got there. I can't even explain how many laws she broke. On top of that, my mom and aunt were arguing about towels. My mom wanted me to borrow some towels to use for her car so it wouldn't be all wet up. My aunt screaming out the door, "You better bring my towels back." And I'm just sitting there thinking, are you serious? I'm just trying to get to the hospital to have this baby, and y'all arguing about some towels. Anyway, we made it to the hospital. My mom dropped me off at the ER entrance, and I waited for someone to check me in. I didn't know half of what to say, and my mom was taking forever. My mom finally came back in. She was so cheap, she couldn't even pay the few dollars for hospital parking and told me she had to find street parking instead. They took forever to check me in, even though I already told them my water broke. The doctor finally came in and said, "Yes, your water definitely broke. Thanks, Doc. I kind of figured that out." They took me to a labor and delivery room. Everybody was there. My mom, his sister, him. At this point, I just honestly wanted everybody out the room. I wanted it to just be me and my mom. But my daughter refused to leave, and it was his mom's first granddaughter. So I just let everybody stay. It wasn't that I didn't want him there or anybody else. I was just vulnerable, and I just wanted to be us. But when my water broke, it was probably around 11 something. We got to the hospital around midnight, or maybe right before. But crazy thing was, no contractions. They said it wasn't good that my water had broken and I still wasn't having contractions hours later. So they did the worst thing. They induced me. I wish I never had to do that. When they checked me, I was barely dilated, maybe 1 or 2 centimeters. For those who don't know, you gotta be 10 centimeters to push the baby out. So they gave me Pitocin, the worst medication on earth. Those contractions came fast and hard. I didn't know what to do with myself, moving all around, crying, screaming. All I wanted was my mom to hold my hand, and she was right there by my side. Since I was hooked up to a monitor, I could see contractions coming on the screen, and all my mom kept saying was, "Here comes another one, here comes another one." She even joked, "Well, nobody told you to have a baby this young." Classic mom humor. Anyway, I finally found a comfortable spot laying on my side. Then the doctors came in to check me again. And oh no, the cord was wrapped around baby girl. Her heart rate was dropping. Next thing I know, I was being rushed out of a room, mask on my face, bright lights all around, and the last words I heard before I blacked out were, "We have to get her out." When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed with a bunch of people surrounding me. It had to be the next morning. Everyone started asking me if I was okay. Everyone looked so sad, like something terrible had happened. All I could think was, where is my baby? They said she was fine and finally showed me baby girl with a little pink hospital hat. They kept saying, "We have to tell you something. Something happened during surgery." My anxiety was through the roof. I finally got to hold my baby girl. I took off her hat. She had a big bandage on her head, but she had the most beautiful curls, head full of hair. A perfect, healthy, 6-pound baby girl. Even though, for most of my pregnancy, all I craved was ice, Chinese food, and Pepsi, I pretty much live off of all kinds of stuff that I wasn't supposed to have. Caffeine, hot dogs, lunch meat, you name it. Turns out, I was more dilated than their doctors thought. When they did the emergency C-section, they accidentally cut her head. That night, I found out everybody was distraught. My mom was crying, baby's father trying to punch a hospital wall. My mom even brought some man I didn't even know to the hospital for support. I woke up confused, but that's definitely a whole nother story. But all I can think was, thank God baby girl was okay. Now back then, I wasn't knowledgeable about lawsuits or malpractice. All I heard from his family and mine was sue, sue, sue. But that doctor saved my baby's life. All I can think was, this doctor saved my baby's girl's life. So me thinking if I sued the hospital, that this doctor would lose their job. So I wasn't going to do that, not after they saved her. Most people said, well, that's what insurance is for. But even my daughter's father agreed. We were just happy she was okay. Although I think about how that money could have changed our lives, but I also think my daughter's father and his family might have been expecting some of it. So I went through the hospital for the next 3 days, what felt like the worst pain of my entire life. They gave me instructions for when I went home, told me I shouldn't climb stairs, told me I couldn't drive. Well, that didn't matter anyway because I didn't have a license or a car. Told me I should get some rest. But all I could think about was, how was I going to make money? And how was I going to take care of this baby on my own? Now, I'm not automatically saying I assumed my daughter's father wasn't going to help. But somehow, deep down, I knew a lot of it was going to be on me. So I get home, everything is already set up for baby girl. Thanks to everyone who got me stuff at those baby showers. But after that, things got harder. In our house, to go upstairs to my bedroom, it's at least 15 steps. I had to pull myself up those steps so much during the day. I started to just stay downstairs so I could spend time with my grandma and get some help from her. And if I wasn't downstairs, I was upstairs in my room most of the day. I don't even remember having a moment to myself. I barely had time to eat. But I was going to prove to everyone I wasn't some teen mom who wasn't going to take care of her child. Most nights I was so exhausted. Even some nights my aunt had to come and bang on my door because she could hear baby girl all the way from the back room to the front room. And she had to go to work. All I remember her saying was, "Get up and get that baby." I started to learn some things, some tricks, started to become a light sleeper. At first, I tried breastfeeding, and that's what they tried to teach me at the hospital. Told me it was what's best for my baby. But after I was having so much trouble getting her to latch and all the pain, I said I quit. So I had to go with formula, which costs around $25 a can. So I had to borrow money from people to get a formula. I learned to keep water and formula in my room to avoid running up and down the steps. And since I wasn't working, I ended up getting on WIC so I can at least get formula for her and public assistance to get me by. I was just trying to figure out when I was going to be able to get back to work. Because even though I just had a baby and tried to offer my aunt some food stamps, she said, "Food stamps don't pay bills." So I thought to myself, man, I can't stay out for months and months like some people do, or even the 8 weeks that at least most people take with their kids. I couldn't afford daycare, so I had to try to apply for subsidy. I even told myself I was going to go back to school and not let being a teenage mom stop my dreams, so I signed up for a community college. But boy, was that a mistake. I just wasn't ready. I probably only went a couple of times and was late every day, so I just dropped out and started going back to work. I went back to work before I was even supposed to, and that didn't turn out well. My daughter's father, he wasn't working, he was just ripping and running, or in the house not being bothered with me. And I asked him if he could watch baby girl while I went to work. Now don't get me wrong, he got her sometimes, but he didn't seem too happy about the thought of being tied down with the baby every day. He said yes at first, but that just turned into a disaster. He was complaining every day or making up excuses, and I had to call out from work. I had to work, and my grandmom told me that she was done watching kids. She said she retired from babysitting. She was in a wheelchair, but she watched and potty trained all of us. So now what was I going to do? I can't work. I don't have a babysitter. So I start sending baby girl to his mom daycare that she was working at the time. And that came with its own drama. I still wasn't driving, so I had to get on a bus all the way to drop her off and pick her up. And most days, it seemed like every morning on the bus, she would be pooping through her clothes. By the time I got there, I had to change her whole outfit and try to rush to work. And the problem was, every time I went there, something was missing. They lost her pacifier. They couldn't find her stuff. And to top it off, they would just release baby girl to his mom without my knowledge. So I would take this long bus ride up to the daycare, and she wouldn't even be there. And I started to think they did that on purpose. So I had to pull her out. Things just weren't working. The things got worse before they got better. I remember being at the house one night because he wanted to see baby girl. So I went over there, and I must have fell asleep. His room was in the basement and right below the porch. I heard music and smelled smoke and everything else. So I went up there and I was like, this is crazy. He's sitting up there smoking, drinking, dancing, filling all up on some woman. And all I could think was, what if I wasn't here? You doing all this while baby's girl's sleeping in her crib all alone down there. So what do? I go get my baby. I don't care if it was 3 or 4 a.m. And I take her out and all I hear is his sisters and whoever else screaming, asking me where am I taking his child. And I walk only a few doors down through the grass. It took me less than 90 seconds to get home. But oh, did I start up some family drama. The next day, his sisters, mom's friends, and whoever else was at my door trying to get me to come out and fight them and saying I wasn't going to keep my baby girl from them, blah, 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 and all that other drama that came with it. I'm on the phone with my mom crying, saying they're ganging up on me. I basically started an all-out family war. But that was the end of that. My mom squashed all that mess and said that they wasn't going to gang up on her daughter, and it was basically squashed at that point because my mom got real gangster and said we got family too. So we may not have got along that good, but we was all going to be cordial. That night, I cried to my grandmama and said, Nana, I really need some help. I don't have anybody to watch the baby. She wiped my tears and said, I'll watch baby girl. She said, for you, I'd do anything. So I had to get her bottles ready and whatever else she needed, and we came up with a routine. I started going back to work, and things seemed like they started to look up. Yeah, I was making minimum wage, which at the time was like less than $6 an hour. But I had a job, and I was doing what I had to do to take care of my baby girl and survive. Problem is, my job started making changes. They got a new manager, and the new manager didn't care that I just had a baby, a C-section at that. They told me I could be a cashier and I didn't have to worry about stocking or doing any strenuous tasks for a while. But that all changed with that new manager. And honestly, I actually liked my job. It was kind of fun because y'all remember Mr. Math class from high school? Well, at some point, he had started working there and we reconnected. We talked a lot on the phone and he was even worried when he didn't hear from me but figured I had the baby. That was really the only time I got to see him. But honestly, since I had a baby, I really didn't want to rush into anything. So we were just taking our time with things. And he respected that. Because honestly, before that, I found myself giving away my number to other male co-workers and customers, sometimes just looking for attention. I even ended up at one of their houses. Now, nothing happened. I told myself I wasn't going down this path again just to be seen. Anyway, he was a sweetheart, though, making sure I got home after those late shifts at work, buying me dinner and little gifts. That made me happy. I finally felt like someone genuinely liked and accepted me for who I was. We also had made our own little friend group at work. But one bad day at work changed my life once again. But that's it for this episode. Tune in next time to hear what happened next. Thank you for listening to Laugh to Keep from